Hey, this is Jamey from Stillmeyer Games, and today I'm going to talk about my favorite mechanism in Terraforming Mars Ares Expedition. I want to say just Ares Expedition, but Terraforming Mars is part of the name of this game. Here's some photos that I took of my first play this past weekend. And as a coincidence, I'm filming this at the same time that there's a Terraforming Mars dice game on Kickstarter. I had no idea that was happening. Pure coincidence that I happened to play this game this past weekend with a total of 4 players. And I must say, I was pleasantly surprised. I did not know what to expect with this game. I enjoy Terraforming Mars, but it's been a couple of years since I played it, partially due to the length of the game. But I do really enjoy the engine building of Terraforming Mars. It's a fantastic game. But this game was really good. This Ares Expedition. I think they did. I think they looked at some of the all of the best parts of Terraforming Mars, and they distilled it down to a really streamlined experience. It still took about maybe 90 minutes for us to play a 4-player game, but we were a little bit learning as we played. The art is beautiful. I think the art is I don't want to say a big upgrade over the original. I think some people have some fondness over the original art, but they put a lot of time and attention, I think, into making this art really, really beautiful. The layout is beautiful, and possibly my favorite mechanism in the game is more component, more user interface, but I think it's really, really great. You have this player mat here that is largely, purely just to track all the information that you have on your cards. So, for example, if a card gives you additional income, whether it's straight up additional income or income based on here's a card that I have here. I gain an additional income, additional MCs for every 2 of this brown icon that I see on all the cards that I've played. Instead of looking at my cards to remember that, I track all that information on the player mat itself, which I think is brilliant. I think, including some games of my own, I think way too many engine building games make you remember to check all these different things, all these different triggers. Like, remember when you do this, that it triggers this and this and this. Remember this income, this combination of things over here that's happening. In this game, it just lets you keep track of it right here. So all you have to do whenever you do the produce action, or whenever any player chooses the produce action, is that you go down this little list right here and you produce based on where your tokens are on this little map. Yes, you do have to remember to adjust those tokens when you play the cards, but it's a little bit of memory there. But I really, really like the user experience of using this mat to remember all those different triggers throughout the game. So that in itself I thought was awesome. I also really love the game offers simultaneous play. In Ares Expedition, each player chooses an action card to play, and you can't choose the same action card that you chose the previous round, which I think is a nice little twist. But you choose an action card, you reveal it simultaneously, and then based on the different phases that were chosen by all players, you activate those phases. So if 2 of us chose Phase 1, one player chooses Phase 2, and another player chooses Phase 5. Those are the only phases that will activate that round. The other 2 phases will get ignored. So it has this nice feeling of positive player interaction where you're kind of hoping other players will play certain cards. Generally, you're kind of hoping for a diversity of cards being played, but at the same time, you gain a bonus whenever you play a card. So if I choose that Phase 1, not only do I get the Phase 1 action, as do all players, but I get a bonus because I'm the one that played that card. So that feels good as well. But I love the simultaneous nature of that. And I also love that we played completely, almost entirely simultaneously. There was very little. There were some moments of interaction having to do with like the end game triggers, as very similar to Terraforming Mars, but most of them could be done simultaneously as well. So we were doing interactions completely simultaneous, very little downtime, and even planning for the next turn simultaneously as well. So we would kind of we would show other players that we were ready for the next round by putting face down our next action card on the table, which I thought was great. The flow of the game was fantastic as a result. One little thing I like that, and I don't remember if this is the thing in Terraforming Mars, but I like that at any time you can discard a card from your hand. These aren't in my hand anymore, but these types of cards, you can discard a card from your hand to gain $3. I thought that gave the game a lot of flexibility. I really appreciated that. It made me value cards more than I would in some games like this where you're getting a lot of cards. And like in Terraforming Mars, I like that you're working together in a competitive game to move the game towards an end game state. You're moving towards the end game condition, which is that you meet all 3 terraforming conditions of the planet. I really like that in any competitive game, especially when there's a strong incentive to do that. That's one of the core ways that you're getting points in this game. And lastly, yeah, one other little thing from Terraforming Mars, and again, another example of how they took, I think, what some of the best aspects of Terraforming Mars and streamlined and distilled them into this experience, is that they took one of the expansions, I think it's Prelude in Terraforming Mars, where you start out with a slightly asymmetric corporation that gives you some asymmetric starting resources and an ongoing ability. That's just built into the core game here. You get that out of the box. So it gives you a little jump start at the beginning of the game that feels really good. And also gives you a small sense of direction at a time in the game where you kind of need that when you're choosing which cards to select. So overall, I had a really positive experience with this. I look forward to playing again, which is not something that I necessarily expected from this game. And yeah, I'd love to hear your thoughts. If you think, feel free to compare Terraforming Mars to Ares Expedition if you know both those games really, really well, or let me know your favorite mechanism in this game, or if any of these mechanisms remind you of another game, let me know in the comments below. Thanks.